Welcome back, everyone, to BBB Sharing. I'm Evie, Director of Ignite, sparked by BBB. We are here in the Ignite podcast studio with Ayanna McMullen, right?
McMullen.
McMullen, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I always trip up with the names, but I try to fix myself afterwards.
I appreciate it. No
All
problem.
right, so tell me about yourself.
About myself, well, such a big question sometimes.
It is.
Born and raised in Richmond, Virginia.
Really?
So this is my hometown, and I've been born here, raised here, work here. I am the second of 4 siblings.
Wow.
There are 3 girls and 1 boy.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm the true middle child because we know boys get treated differently. That's a whole other conversation.
100% agree.
I don't know. So I'm the true middle child. My parents were born and raised in Richmond. So we're like Richmond through and through, Richmond, Virginia through and through. Thing about me is I like to say I'm an eclectic soul. You know, I have so many tastes, so many interests. Outside of being an entrepreneur, I'm also a salsa dancer. I love to salsa dance. Yes.
I love salsa dancing.
That's my thing, girl. I would just go on and on about salsa dancing. Long distance runner. I played the violin once upon a time, so I'm looking to pick that back up. And I keep saying in like every interview that I have, I'm going to pick it back up, but I haven't done it yet.
It kind of gives yourself that accountability aspect to it. Like I said, I'm going to do it, so I got to do it.
I need to do it, even if it's just like 30 minutes a week. Why? You're looking at me. I need to do it. And so also I like to say I'm an emerging artist. There's been some like digital art I've been dabbling in that I've shown a few people, but we'll see how that goes. So that's kind of, you know, I guess my outlook on life is very adventurous. I want to learn. I always want to learn things. And educationally, I guess that's always a good place to start.
100%.
VCU is my school. You know, I love VCU. I thought I was going to go out of state, but when I visited VCU, I was like, this is the place for me. So I went to be a music major.
Really?
Yeah, playing the violin. And then I switched to political science, like a complete 180 and totally different direction. And the reason I think I did that, well, I know that I did that because I felt that the difference I could make could come through like politics, through that world to affect people's lives in a positive way. And although I've always loved music, my family's a musical family. We sing, play instruments. That's what we do. I grew up just singing in the kitchen, singing up in church, singing everywhere. It was like every time it was a time to sing. Even when you wanted to go outside and play, my mom was like, come sing this song. You're like, but I just want to go play. Just sing it real quick and then you can go. So yeah, I love music, but I guess I didn't want it to be that dominant part of my life. It had always been a part of my life, but not dominant part of my life. And so I thought, you know, politics is the way to go. I can affect everyone's life in the world. And that was interesting. And then I got my master's in public administration, which I love better because I did do some work in politics, but I love the more grassroots approach to the public administration side.
Wonderful.
So, yeah, that's me. It's so much to tell. I guess that's me in a nutshell.
I love it. Actually, I'm a VCU grad.
Oh, yay.
Yep. I loved VCU. My mom went there.
Okay.
My mom's from Richmond.
Okay.
So, and then we moved to Harrisburg because my mom met my dad. But I went to VCU, studied broadcast journalism, minored in political science.
What's up with the political science? I meet so many people.
It's wonderful because it actually, political science, gives people an opportunity to really understand why people do what they do, I feel like.
Yeah.
It kind of does seep a little bit into that philosophical, anthropological side too.
And psychology.
Yeah.
That's true.
And I think it just gives people a more realistic side because there's always like the thinking and the thinking and the thinking. And it's like, well, here's the action to the thinking and why it happened.
Right.
And I think that kind of clicked for me. I wanted to work for a big media news station, but then I was like, no, I don't think that's the route I want to go because, you know, social responsibility and stuff like that. Right. And that kind of just was tarnished with the media. And so I think 100% VCU is an awesome school, and I totally understand why you switched over to political science. And the music aspect, music's a big part of, my family's Greek.
Oh,
so we're always dancing and singing something. And I do agree with it being such a huge part of your life that you don't want it to be a dominant part of your life. people say you do what you love and then you love what you do.
That's true.
But I just want to enjoy that part of it. Sometimes I don't want to share it with people. I just want to enjoy that part of it.
And I don't mind, like, I love performing. That's great. But like the curriculum was so intense and they were like, you have to have this many performances a week and stuff. And I was like, yeah, I don't know. I don't want it.
It starts to strip the joy out of it.
That might be the reason why. That might be it. Because after the, we had to do the, what do you call it? Tryout portion, and you had to get accepted. You had to play. That's how you got, that was part of your acceptance. You had to play a piece.
Oh, no.
So I studied with my tutor for like on this one piece, very complicated piece. And, you know, in addition to your application, you had to perform. And so it was a bit nerve wracking.
Yeah, I would not.
Yeah.
For me, look, interviews are the extent of it for me. I'll do a good interview, but that's about it. Do not ask me to perform anything.
Yeah, that's what we had to do. And it was just, I think it was maybe one person that I performed. That was even more nerve-wracking.
Because it's one-on-one?
Yeah, I don't know if a crowd would have been better or not. But anyway, it was a very difficult piece. I learned a lot, you know, learning that piece and things like that. But yeah, I was just like, I don't think this is for me. Yeah. I don't want it to be like my life.
I totally get that.
Yeah.
And I completely understand. So that leading into what you do today, tell me how you got from there to today.
I'm laughing because that's a long story. How do our journeys begin and end? My goodness. So just a little bit about, like, after I came out of school, you know, you're looking for the job and things like that. But I had always worked with youth. And so while I was in school, I worked at an elementary school. And then out of elementary, I was there for 7 years or so in 2 elementary schools. And then I became a program director for a nonprofit after school program. And then within that space, I guess I always had an entrepreneurial spirit. My mom was very entrepreneurial. She was, at the time, they would call them seamstresses. But I don't know if they have a different name now, because why are men called tailors and women called seamstress?
I always say I'm going to my tailor, and my tailor is a woman.
So maybe they've unified that language, but she was called a seamstress or a tailor, you know. And then she used to sell, you remember Tupperware was a thing?
Yeah.
She used to sell Tupperware.
Really?
And then she used to do like, make these like nativity scenes and like sell, like stuff them. They would like plush things and sell them. So she always like had this spirit. So I think we grew up with that.
Very artistic too.
Oh, super artistic. Like she was super artistic. And so I think that was just always in me. And so I have always had a knack for like organizing things. I was that kid. If you needed a mediator, I was that kid. If you needed stuff to get organized, I was that kid.
Wonderful.
I didn't learn until later, because we had to share rooms, that my mom would put me in rooms with the messy child because I would get them organized. She didn't tell me this until my adulthood.
Really?
Yes. I was like, why? Because I was like, why I keep getting shifted around? Like, can I just like stay in one place? And she was like, oh, I knew you would get them straight. So out of that,
she's smart. She's a smart lady.
She was super smart, and she studied psychology. Well, we were just talking.
Too.
This is so funny. And she went to VCU.
That's insane. What are the odds?
No,
that's wonderful.
It's crazy. So she knew how to get people motivated to do things. So within that, when I was at this nonprofit after school program, the idea hit me to create Harmony Organizing, which is now in its state, in its original state, professional organizing. I found out that people do this. Like they go in, they organize people's houses and their things. And I was like, is this a thing? Yeah. You never heard of it?
No, but I know a lot of people that need it.
You heard of the KonMari method?
Yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, that's professional organizing.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. So it's not a super like we haven't been around for like a super long time, but I mean it's still emerging and it's still developing. But this was back in 2010, so it was out there in 2010. I was like, oh, people do this thing.
That's amazing.
I should turn my passion into like a business that's what I did. I started Harmony Organizing as professional organizing in 2010. And so I wasn't full-time by any means, but the concept, let me get my business together, let me register, let me do these things, blah, 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 blah. And then as I found, excuse me, as people were organizing their spaces, they also needed to organize their minds, right? And it's kind of like, I can come through any door. And I was just recognizing it because I would go in and I would organize spaces, but they'd be like, I'm all over the place in my head and I just can't focus on this right now. So it's like, okay, let's try some goal setting. This is how it developed. Maybe I should do goal setting with them now. Yeah. All I did was take my experience in public administration and strategic planning, and I broke it down for the individual. Wow. That's what I did. So I was like, let's do goal setting. You really need to manage your tasks better. You need to, and then it folded into time management. All of these components of organizing and living a balanced life came out of this one thing. Let me organize your things. Yeah. And so now I was like, I have a front door. Now I have a back door. So that's how Harmony was developed. As I moved into the business arena, it became, and I gained more knowledge. Now people need to organize their businesses. Yep. So they need business support. So then I started organizing business support. And then, we got community engagement going on here. So now I'm doing community engagement. So Harmony in its state now is an integrated suite of professional organizing, business support strategy, and community engagement strategy. And community engagement has always been something that I did before it became a buzzword. Like, it's the thing. Community is like the thing now. But that was my mom. I mean, we were helping the community. We would create, I remember when we were younger, she would just tell us to scooch over in the van because it was somebody on the side of the road with their child and groceries, and we would take them home. So it was nothing for us to say, hey, come over to my house and eat. Of course you got to, not everybody did it, but, or the kids in the neighborhood, everybody was at our house. I mean, we always served people. We were always feeding people. We were always helping people. That's just the thing that we did. So this kind of folded in naturally.
Crazy that you say that because we were just talking about that the other day here.
Really?
Yeah. So we have what's called Spark Conversations, and we talk about different topics, kind of like what you. So we would talk about like your topic, your type of industry, and we would bring that to people to kind of understand what you do, in addition to you understanding what people know about it or what experience they've had. So we kind of flip the whole like somebody talking to you for an hour and a half and then you walking away and forgetting about everything, waiting in line in Starbucks, right? No, this is more of an engagement. But we were talking about how it takes a village. I remember, because I grew up in two different worlds. I grew up in Greece over the summer, and then I grew up here because I had to be at school, and of course my parents worked. It takes a village. It's always about community. If parents couldn't take care of the kid, then you knew somebody in the town was available to be able to take care of the kids or to just be careful and monitor them. Like being able to walk there and get food from whoever is safe, whereas here, not so much.
Not so much, right.
So you bring up that community aspect. We talked about neighborhoods and how it's so important to have that community in your neighborhood.
I would say in my experience in the Black community, this is not uncommon that everyone is over everybody's house. The parents that live next door, everybody, can you send my child home? Because they, I'm looking for them. They're around the street. So this was a common narrative. And plus my family too is super big. Like I think look guys, if you're listening to me, I might get the number wrong, but it's 14. I have 14 aunts and uncles. Okay.
Really?
So it's like super big. And we were always like together. I don't remember a time where it's like, we're just chilling by ourselves. Yep. Someone was always over our house. We were always going with somebody somewhere. Graduations were a huge thing. And they only give, certain amount of tickets to graduations. That never worked for my family. I would just go to my friends like, hey, everybody come in your family, can I use your tickets? Because I think it would be like 15, maybe more people at my graduation.
And they started putting caps on the number of chairs you could take too.
Yeah.
And my brother went to a super big school. My sister and I went to a smaller school, but my brother, the boy.
Of course.
And the youngest, by the way. So double whammy.
Damn it.
Yeah.
Yes.
But he went to a bigger school and we thought we would have more space, but it didn't happen. Yeah. So I get you.
Yeah. So like that's always been a thing. And I guess our house somehow became like this the center point within the neighborhood. And I mean, it was already 4 of us, and then my cousins were already over there. So it was kind of like, it doesn't matter how much more you add to it, just come on in. So yeah, that's how I got into being an entrepreneur. Now, my second journey came when I became a full-time entrepreneur, which was around 2018. Little did I know the shutdown was coming. It's like, somebody had tapped me on the shoulder. But would I do it differently? I'm not sure, because it's been such a great journey, even in its hardships, I would say, and I've learned a lot. So in 2018, I was like, I'm going to take Harmony full-time. That's what I'm going to do. We're going to do this thing. But I wasn't fully prepared for being a full-time entrepreneur, let alone I was still figuring things out as like just a part-time entrepreneur. Isolation was a very big thing that I didn't expect. Because when you're in like an organization or even corporate America, your teams are built in. You have departments. You have, now I'm sitting here in a room by myself. It's not like I had a partner. And I'm trying to figure stuff out. And it's like, who can I talk to? Who's available? I know people are at work. Let me hit my sister up. Let me ask my mom. But, they have limited time. And you're like, I'm not trying to bother them. Also, another thing is, they don't tell you where to plug in as an entrepreneur. It's like, well, I don't know how to access this information, let alone resources. We're talking about like capital and all this stuff that can help grow your business. And then a lot of organizations, I would say, there are networking association fees, network association fees. Yeah, I had to get that right.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I couldn't get credibility out of my mouth yesterday. It was crazy.
I was like, what is that? I'm picturing in my head. Yeah. Are too high, especially for under-resourced entrepreneurs. We're talking about entrepreneurs that have limited access to credit, or it's been not really given to them in historical, like banks are not really lending to Black and brown businesses, that kind of thing. So we have food deserts going on. I mean, let me say, I like to say there are info deserts like there are food deserts. So there are information deserts going on, lack of access to resources and information, high networking association fees, isolation. And then you might hit a planning roadblock and there's nobody you can say, hey, listen to this thing. So in my head, I said, hey, wouldn't it be cool? And I would never forget, like, wouldn't it be cool if like I could network with people, but also they could help me with my business, like business strategy, or support me with resources and information. And another thing I would add to that is that when I started going into like the traditional networking scene, I wasn't like well received. Like that wasn't my demographic for the most part. Like a lot of people that look like me are not going into those kinds of networking scenes. And so it was very hard to make connections, and hopefully they'll call me. I gave them my business card. And as you can see, I dress very eclectic.
I love the way you dress.
Thank you very much.
Very professional, but doesn't look dreary like everybody else.
Thank you.
I read something in a book the other day. She said, I'd rather be someone's shot of whiskey than everybody's cup of tea. And I was like, I love that.
I love that.
Isn't that great?
I'm going to have to use them, put them on like my board or something. I really like that. That's cool. So, when people have on suits and the traditional gear and you're coming in like that, and this is my experience, it just wasn't well received. You get a little side eye, like, who is this? And trying to make connections were difficult.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of those. Yeah, I'm not a fan of those networking groups.
Yeah, I get you.
And I'm very vocal about it. It's just not, I don't think that people get out of it what they really want. And then there's always those same people that always go there all the time. And
I found that to be true too. Yeah. It's like always the same. And it can get a little bit cliquish.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, well, you need to talk to so-and-so. You'd be like, but I don't know so-and-so. I'll introduce you. And anyway, it's very hard.
You do want that mutual connection to make it easier to approach somebody. And sometimes you don't have it. And my boss, Barry, who'll ask me all the time, was like, so how'd it go? And I'll go like this. And then I'll walk in my office.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, it's very difficult, especially for introverts, to go into those settings, make cold intro. Hey, my name is, and just hopefully you make a connection out of thin air. So I was like, it would be cool if this space can be changed or reimagined to some extent. And I don't even know if that was my words, because sometimes your idea just sparks and it's just, it's like, it's just there. And so I was like, I would love to network, because we need to network in business. I consider like one of the,
it's important.
it's very important. I call it one of the life veins of your business.
Yeah.
And I can also get support for this thing. And I was like, hey, I would love to have this concept, like merge these two things together. Tested it out on a smaller group. I won't say who because they might get mad. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. It's like, why are you guys making this more difficult than what it is? But when I went to Capital One Cafe in Carytown, give a shout out to Cap One, I just started going to co-work because, I need someone. And my ears were open and I was like, oh, they have a community room back there. It seems like they're looking for some programming. I connected with one of the ambassadors prior to this idea. And I was like, hey, I got this idea. Would you guys be willing to have it in this space? We launched it. They was like, yeah, let's launch it, see where it goes. And if it gets some momentum, we'll determine after that. So we launched it in May 2019, and we had 8 people in the room for our first thing. And then within 3 months, that room was full.
Wow.
So that's the Network Incubator, came out of my woes as a full-time entrepreneur for Harmony Organizing. So if you can see how everything is like connecting.
Yep.
And then the Network Incubator is a creative think tank for business ideas where we brainstorm our business ideas and challenges in dynamic group settings. And our business, we call it our value, 3C values is connection, creation, and collaboration.
Wow.
So that room started to get full. And then 2020 hit. So this 2019, and it's like, what are we going to do? Let's get on Zoom, which I had just learned about. Did you just learn about Zoom like during the shutdown?
Yeah.
I don't know.
It was a thing. We started having our classes because I finished off my last semester. Actually, it was in the middle of our last semester, and all of a sudden we were doing Zooms, and I was like, broadcast journalism major. I have to film things and go interviewing people, and so all of a sudden, my video was just Zoom.
Yeah. That's what happened.
My B-roll was like keyboard typing and stuff like that. And it was different. It was a shift.
It was a shift.
Just getting used to.
Yeah. So I agree with that. And a lot of people did that. And a lot of businesses had to shift, which we did. So I had to learn it very quickly and get everybody online. And to our surprise, 40 people showed up.
That's amazing.
And it was like, here we go, which opened the doors up to other states. Because now, technology is beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's really, when used correctly, I would say that.
And I am a huge advocate of technology. I do think that there needs to be more education for it for people.
I agree.
On how it can, because it's a double-edged sword, right? It can be the most amazing thing that we use and bring so much good into the world, but then it also has an ugly side to it.
Yeah.
And I think that there should be more focus on teaching, especially young people,
for sure,
how to use it.
How to use technology. I agree with that 100%. And so whether or not that's going to happen because it's getting pushed out so quickly, that's a concern. But in this case, it served us very well. We reached other states and other countries. And to date, we've reached 23 states and 23 countries because of technology. And it's been like an amazing journey. And we've served over 700 businesses.
Wow.
We've supported over 700 businesses. So that's how I got into this.
I think that's amazing because, and especially when you said the info desert. Yeah, I can't agree more because I'm a big researcher. Like if I think I'm going to go down a road with something, I'm going to research the heck out of it because I want to know what I'm getting into, right? But I do hit a brick wall sometimes. So I'm just like, why is nobody talking about this, or where can I find this information? Right. I mean, Google's a friend, but it's that acquaintance that you meet to go out to drinks with in the middle of the week because you want to decompress. It's not your go-to buddy that you call because you're having a hard time with something, So I love that concept of being able to bring that information with people and brainstorm together. People don't realize how important it is to have those conversations and really understand where that person, their experience is information.
It is information. Right. And I always say, you know something I don't know. I know something you don't know. Put our heads together. We can help each other grow just through that instead of remaining in silos all the time, which I found to be very real, especially in the business arena. We're talking about the small business arena for whatever purpose. It's like people want to stick to their little pockets sometime and they don't want to come out of it. And then like, I have this information. You need to come to me to get this information. I always say, like, when I started my journey, even with Harmony, there were a lot of smoke screens.
Yeah.
And I was just like, why is it so hard to like get this information? And I'm going back to info deserts. In a lot of communities, that information is not even circulating. That's not even like a conversation.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like, I don't know how to do certain things within your business. It's not even a conversation.
People ask me all the time, because this is a nonprofit, and people ask us all the time. They're like, "What do you like? You need sponsors? You need?" I'm like, "Yeah, sponsors are great, of course. Who doesn't want sponsors, right?" I said, "But really, your time and your expertise are what's important to me, because your knowledge is valuable.
Right.
Bringing in your knowledge is valuable to us, because these accredited businesses, they're trying to be the best that they can be for this community.
For the community.
So the more that they get to learn from people like yourself, the better it is for them, because they're helping people.
Right. I find that most small businesses that I run across, they want to help in some kind of way. And it always links back to a personal experience they've had, or like my community, which can be a personal experience, but it's secondary. Like, I've viewed this in my community. I didn't necessarily experience it, but it's causing some pain. Or it can be primary. I experienced that at the same time. I heard this statement that said, entrepreneurs are professional problem solvers. And I was like,
yes,
it's
so true.
That.
It's so true.
I love it. I love that. And I was like, yes, I am.
I love it. Ayanna, how can people get in touch with you, and where can they find you?
Yes. So the best way, because I have so many hands in the bucket, I'll give you all the ways. So my website, AyannaMcMullen.com, AyannaMcMullen.com, had to spell it, is where you can learn both about Harmony Organizing and the Network Incubator.
Perfect.
If you want to go to Harmony, it's just harmonyorg.com. And then it's the networkincubator.com. And I will say the Network Incubator is free and it's open to the public. So register for free. We would love to have you in the space. And it's not just because you're an established entrepreneur. You could be aspiring, emerging.
That's wonderful.
Mature. You're ready to leave it. It doesn't matter. That's what truly makes it an incubator. And we do have a particular focus on under-resourced entrepreneurs. We want to make sure these under-resourced entrepreneurs are getting the support that they need.
Wonderful. I love it.
Thank
you so much for taking the time to come and talk with me.
Thank you for having me. This has been fun.
Oh, it's so much fun. I love doing the podcast. I get to talk to everybody and really get to know you guys, whereas everybody else has to talk about the boring stuff.
Right. Who wants to do that?
Nobody. So everybody that is watching on YouTube, BBB Central VA, please make sure to like, share, subscribe, and comment down below. It really helps us out. And if you're listening on Spotify, please make sure to follow us and share the audio out. Thank you.
Thank you.